Hey friends, Kelly here. Welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while. I'm ready to start creating and getting back into the groove, maybe. So I wanted to share with you what I'm working on today. And I know I said in my little chit chat video a week or two ago that I was going to try to limit how many new projects I brought on. I already failed that. But let me show you what I'm working on here. So as you may or may not recall, or maybe you're new around here, I'm on the digital stamp team for Kelli stamps, and I have a project coming up that's due, and so I decided that it's, well, one, a good time to get back into being creative, and two, maybe this is just the inspiration I needed to start a new project. So here's what I have. First off, you might have seen this before. This is my little notebook that I use for my digital stamps for my design team commitment to Kelli stamps. It is just a traveler's notebook insert, sort of. It's bigger, as you can see. It's 8 1/4 by like 5 1/2 or 5 1/4. 5 1/2. So this is just a grid lined notebook that I have used. I've got different notes in it for myself. And then what I do is I create my own little snapshot view of the stamps. So when you order digital stamps from Kelli Stamps, you get 3 folders. You get a JPEG that are all black, you get a PNG folder that are all black, and you get a PNG folder that are all white. You don't get with it like a kind of a snapshot of what they all look like. So I've just created my own. I did this on Photoshop. I just created a little box basically, and I drag and drop all the stamps in, and then I kind of fit them all together. You could do the same thing on canva.com, which I know I should probably be sponsored by them. I am not, but I love Canva, and you could do the same thing on that if you don't have Photoshop. Okay, so this is my little notebook. Sometimes I have sketches in it, sometimes notes, sometimes I will put photos or little snapshots of kind of like the labels or the card sets that Kelli has. You could take and do the same exact thought process through any of your digital stamps, any of your digital things that you have. So for me, this just works for my Kelli stamps, but I honestly have thought about going back and doing it for any other digital stamp sets I have. Okay, so here is, if I can get there, it's getting pretty full. Here we are. This is the newest release that's coming up here at the end of January, and it's kind of geared towards February, which would be like Valentine's Day. So there's 3 digital stamp sets that are coming out. So I have created my little map, so to speak. And for this particular project, I focused on the mega heart eyes. So I pulled a few things out of here, and I created this spread here. So now what am I going to do with this? Let me show you. So I bought myself a nice little stack of these notebooks. These are just a craft front and back. They're 5 1/2 by 8, basically from where the spiral down. Black spiral, and the paper inside is an off-white, and it's kind of porous, kind of like a sketch paper. But I wanted a notebook that didn't have any lines or anything inside, that I have a couple of different ideas on how I want to use these this year. One of them, I did a little sketch here, was to do hybrid documenting, but fast and easy, because I want to get some of this stuff down that's more current, happening now. I probably am not going to do a ton of journaling. It's more just to get the photos off my phone into a book, not worrying about it being chronological, not worrying about it being overly journaled, just some way of getting something in the book. So I sketched out a few different templates, and I went ahead and I created these on Photoshop. So this is one of those results. So I'm going to bring you guys over to my computer here in just a moment and show you how I created this, so you could do something very similar yourself. It was very easy. I kept it very simple with lines, frames, black ink, nothing too complicated here. Dragged in a few of the stamps and called it good. What I'm going to do then is embellish this open space using some physical products. So I'm going to do this whole hybrid thing. So my intention is to have this notebook where I just kind of keep that process going. And there's a lot of pages in here, but I'll be honest, I'll probably end up ripping a lot of this paper out and just using it as scratch paper for things like this, for sketching, notes, etc. So with that said, let me bring you over to my computer real quick, and I will show you how I put this together. Then I will bring you back to my desk, fast forward you, and finish this off. Okay, so I'm going to show you very quickly how I created my template in Photoshop. So again, I've already created a couple templates, so let me just go ahead and open up one to show you what this looks like. And then I'll just do a quick run through on how I put this all together. So this is my template here, and you can see that I've gone ahead and I've done the whole grid effect. I have a space for the photo, so I use a frame for that so that I can simply drag and drop the photo right in. And then I've set up some temporary areas here for myself so that I could maybe do some journaling or just have somewhere to start. But I might not always use this part. So for instance, the piece that I'm working with today, I took out the part here where it says headline and text. I took that out completely, and instead I made some changes. But this is a really great place for me to start. So let me quickly show you how I got to this part here. So I'm going to go ahead and create a new file. So I've already done this before, so I don't want this to be an artboard this time. I just want it to be a document. I've got it 5.5 inches wide by 8 inches tall, so I'll just go ahead and create that. The first thing I did was I gave myself some guides just to kind of keep things lined up. And so I'm just dragging from the ruler, I'm just dragging down. So now, because I did the math, I already know this is about 2.666, so I'm going to eyeball it. And then 5.333, something to that effect. So, I had it. Perfect. That never happens. Why is this so complicated? Okay, good enough. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and you can see over here on the left-hand side, I'm in the frame tool. So I'm just going to go ahead and create a frame. I'll just do a quick one here, so it won't be exactly the same. So I've just dragged out a frame, and I'm just going to go ahead over here and change the measurements over in this property tabs over here. I'll just go 2.25 square. So moving back over to my move tool, I'm always terrible at this. I want to make sure I'm on that layer. I've got my move tool. I'm just going to drag it, and it kind of snaps into place to some degree. So I'm okay with that. Now I'm working on a Mac, so forgive me, but I have no idea what the command is on a PC to do this function. But here's what you can do, copy paste, but this is what I do on a Mac. I hold down the Option key, and then you see those double arrows. Now I'm going to press down on my mouse, and I'm just going to drag while still holding the Option key and the mouse button, the left mouse, and then I'm going to release the mouse and then release the Option. I don't know if that matters, but for some whatever reason, I always struggle with that. So that is the particular sequence that I know works. So Option, gonna grab, and I'm just gonna go ahead and pop that down. So now I have 3 frames. Again, because I have let me go to, I gotta figure out where it is here. Rulers, snap to. Okay, so here, I have the rulers option showing, I have the snap. You can also do snap to guides, layers. You have a lot of different options here. You can clear all the guides, play around with these and get familiar with what these are, because it does help you when you're working in Photoshop, especially if you're newer to this program. Having the rulers, having guides can be very helpful. So I've got my 3 frames. Next, I'm going to go over here to this shape tool. I'm going to use the line. So I'm left clicking so that I can see all my options. I'm going to right click on the line tool. Now here I'm going to just go straight along my guide, and it's just going to snap into place. So I'm going to do a line down the center, and I'm going to change the stroke. I'm over here now on the properties and appearance. I'm going to go ahead and change that to 6. So it gives it a little thickness. The other thing I can do is I can go back to my frames and I can give them a stroke. So I can change that to black, and I can say 6. Okay, so I'll do that on all 3. It just helps to see them a little bit better, and I can always get rid of that if I'm working on a spread I don't want to have a border, but for right now I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm going to go back to my line tool here, and I'm just going to drag a line across both of these guides I had. And again, I'm just going to change the thickness. And make sure that one. Okay. Okay, so now I kind of have my guts, right? I've got everything here. Now, if I wanted to go ahead and add in any sort of journaling, I could just simply drop in a text box. So I'll just go ahead and pop a text box in there and let's change this. I changed the font that I kind of work with every so often. So, the Catherine, however you say that. That's kind of the font that I think I might go with for this project. So I'll just change that to a 12 point and I will go ahead and justify that. Okay, so I've got my text box. So now I could, oops, don't do that. Make sure I'm on my text box here. Got my text tool. What's going on here? All right, let me back up a bit here. I'm going to take that layer out. This is my honest to God truth tip. Whenever you have no idea what you just did, just back it up. Just try again. That's the only way. If you're like me and you don't want to spend a lot of time doing any sort of tutorials, that is the only way to learn, is to just try things out. So that text box, I was having some difficulty getting back into it because my way of getting into a text box is double clicking and hoping it works. So I went ahead, got rid of it, created a new one. And now, so that I have some peace of mind when I want to come back to this, I'm just going to write text here. And change that to, 12 this time and say yes. Okay. So I've got some text. I could do the same thing with a headline. Now let me put a couple more distinct lines in to just kind of give me a heading. So I wasn't super precise on making sure that was straight because I know I have these tools over here to transform and change. So it was a little wonky. So we'll make it to a 0 degree. So it's straight across. And again, I want to thicken that up. So I'll just go ahead and do that. And now using my move tool, and I make sure I'm on that layer, I'm going to again do that trick where I'm going to hold down Option and I'm just going to drag. So there we go. Now that text box, let's see, make sure I'm on my text tool, go in there. If I were to not be in the text tool, so let me show you guys that again. If I were on the move tool and I grabbed this and I started moving, see how the text is going to distort? It's going to get stretched. So we don't want that to happen. We want to be in the text tool while we're adjusting the boundaries of that text box. Okay, so I've got that. So again, I'm on my text tool, so I'm just going to go ahead and pop a little space in here and I'm going to write, okay, it's my heading or my title, whatever you want to call it. Let's make it a little bigger. And then again, using my move tool, I might just move it around a bit. Okay, so there's the general idea of how I created this template. Now for the particular page I'm working on, what I did then, after I had saved this as template, so I'm on Untitled here. So here's my template. So there you go. I'm gonna go ahead and close that out. The other thing to do is if you create a template, you open it up, I highly recommend the first thing you do is not resave, but save as to a new entire file. That way you don't end up messing up your original template. So I would then change this to whatever project I want to call it. Okay, so let me show you how I went ahead and created my page. So I'm going to go and find my Kelly stamps folder. I'm working on my January stamps and I've already drug some photos in that I know I want to potentially use. So again, here's where I'm just going to drag and drop. So I have a photo of my daughter. I'm just going to drag it right into that frame. My husband and my other daughter. And then let's see, I'll pop this picture of my husband and I in. I know those aren't quite the pictures I used, but you get the point. Okay, so I have some photos in there. And now I'm going to navigate to my stamps folder. So I'm going to use the Mega Heart Eyes. And here we're just working with PNGs. So very simple. I'm just going to go ahead and start dragging in. Oops. Okay, so you see what happened there? I pulled it in and I dragged and dropped, but I was still on that frame layer. So it wanted to replace that photo. So I'm going to go ahead and undo that. I'm going to just click off. So I'm now on no layers. So when I drag this in, it's going to create its own new layer. So I'll go ahead and pop this in. So now it's created a new layer. I don't create a layer first. I've never had to worry about that. So I'm just holding down Shift and I'm dragging the arrows, the corner, to just manipulate the shape, but I want to contain its, I want to, wow, my words are really struggling today. I want to maintain its size. So holding down Shift will constrict that so that I'm not getting a wonky image there. Okay, so I've got a stamp in. Let's see, maybe I'll pull in this XOXO. Again, because I'm not off this layer, it's saying, nope, you can't do that. Okay, click off. If you come across that, check your layers. See where you're at with your layers. If you're on a layer and you're trying to pull something in, it's not going to like that. Photoshop can be a bit persnickety. It's an awesome tool, but there's so much to learn. It's just, I don't know if I'll ever get there. And I don't know if I have a desire to ever learn everything there is. Okay, so I pulled this other stamp in. You can see when I pulled it in, it's kind of trying to snap to something. It wants to center or move in alignment to something, which is usually pretty helpful. I like that. I like where it is. I'll pull that in. Let's see. How about a couple of... This is a cute one. Now what's going to happen? I drag this in. It's not going to let me. Why? Because I'm still on that XOXO layer. So, oh, just kidding. It worked. See, even when you think you know, you don't know. So ignore that. We'll just move right along. Okay, so let's get, now here, I can delete this heading, or if I'm not sure if I want to keep it, if I might come back to it, I'm just playing around, I can go out down here into my layers and I can just turn this little eyeball off. So now I won't see it, but it's still there. So I can put it back if I want to, I can take it away. So I'll leave it off. Now I want to go ahead and grab this little stamp, and I could actually just use that as my headline and I could do my journaling. Now, because all of these PNGs are just simple black, there's probably a way to do this that is different from what I'm about to show you, but this is what I've figured out. Because it's just a simple black, I have figured out that I can go in and do a color overlay. So let me show you guys real quick again. So I'm down here in my layers at the very bottom, this little FX, which stands for effects. I click that and I'm going to go to color overlay. So now I could change the color. So I could do the pink. I could come down to this XOXO and let's see, where's my color overlay? I could, by clicking on this little color box, it's going to give me my color picker. I'll even get an eyedropper. It's automatic, pulls up an eyedropper. I can go and I could pull out a different color. So let's say I wanted to pull out some blue. Just pick a blue. Okay. So now my XOXO is a different color. So you can also play around with the coloring of your stamps. The other thing is that Kelly Winnell gives us white. So kind of hard for you to see here in my folder, but you can tell by the name of the image, I know that I'm going to pull in a heart stamp. Oh, you see what happened? I wanted to change that photo. Make sure I'm clicked off that, pull in a heart. Okay, so let's say I wanted to put it right there. I'm just going to angle it a bit and say yes. So a lot of cool things you can do with digital stamps. So here, I don't know why it's doing that, but it doesn't really matter. That's the end of this little Photoshop tour. Very quick, very down and dirty, but that you can get enough ideas on how you can make Photoshop work with your digital stamps. Create a template for yourself that you can come back to over and over again. So now I could just go right into, oh my gosh, how many folders deep do I have things? It gets a bit ridiculous. So I've created a folder for my 8x5. It's actually 5.5, but I can pull up this template and there it is. I could start fresh. So my intention is that I can come in and I can create page after page, using the same template to give this project cohesion, but changing how it all looks. Okay, so let me bring you back over to my desk and we'll finish up this project. So the first thing I'm going to do is trim out this page. Now when I designed this template, I purposely made those lines go to the ends of my measurements. Oh, that word is hard. Again, I'm working with a measurement of 5.5 across, 8 inches tall. So having those lines, awesome. Totally worked in trimming. Next, I've gone ahead and grabbed out a ton of my citrus twist kits that I have dismantled. So I started going through all of the little bits, and I remembered that there were some really cool fabric ephemeras. So I've pulled those out, and then I'm just going through everything else to see if there's anything else that I think will tie into this page. And I was kind of looking for winter things, but then I really wanted the hearts, because that's really what this page is about. It's my heart. So I've pulled out some puffy hearts. I've got these fabric ephemera. So I'm going to go through these, and I really wanted to pull out the blue colors and kind of keep it monochromatic to that blue color, and then just black and white. But then also there's that pink in my daughter's hat. So I thought maybe I would pull that in. Of course, I don't go either of those routes. I do blue and then orange. I don't know why, but it worked out perfectly because I really just love the color. So I pulled out some of these bits, and the one thing that I really didn't want to do was use any sort of things that had words on them. I already have words on this page. I wanted to keep it simple with that. I really didn't want to complicate it by adding any more sentiments. So I've ditched anything with words. So the next thing I have are these little pieces, and I realized that there's these little crosses, but if you turn them, they look like an X. So I thought maybe if I could pull out like a really cute XO kind of thing. And I thought about getting out a punch and trying to punch that little square with the blue heart. And I thought, I know what'll happen. I'll make a giant mess. So I ditched that and I put everything away. I'm moving on. So I've grabbed the puffy hearts, and I want to pull in more of that really soft orange color. So here I grabbed this heart that says "This is us." While the sentiment works, again, I wanted to not have any other words on here. So I've just gone in and I've pulled out a couple of the puffy hearts, and I'm trying to alternate the colors. So I wanted to match as best as I could that blue-green kind of color. So in the end, I've got my puffy hearts. I've got my little fabric embellishments. I've got that piece that's got the little crosses that looks like washi tape. I thought about maybe pulling more washi tape. In the end, I'm not going to worry about it. I also realized that while I thought there was a sticky backing on these pieces, either there is and I just couldn't get it to work, or it's super duper hard to get off. Either way, I decided to ditch that and just put the adhesive right onto the back of the fabric ephemera. Plus, I have stapled those little puffy hearts on, so it ain't going anywhere. Okay, so now I've got my notebook. I might come back and do a title page, so for now I'm going to skip the first page in this book. I'm going to go ahead, run some adhesive on. I thought about using like a wet glue, but adhesive is good. I cannot believe I got it on the first try without having to peel it up. And that's it. Page done. Having a template made this so fast. Having digital stamps made it awesome. I love how this came together. I love the clean look of it. I foresee doing a lot more pages like this. So thanks for watching, friends. It's been really fun getting back into creating and being here with you. So if you like this video, I'd love for you to give me a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. And then finally, don't forget to hit that little bell so you're getting notifications when new videos are posted. Thanks, friends, and I'll see you next time.